be focused on what it is you wish to achieve and don't allow those around you to hold you back. And certainly here in Aruba, I've got it wrong on numerous occasions. Aruban folks have cultural sensitivities.
Televidente Bonoci, vi quiero cordialmente invitado a su tour para escuchar el programa aquí, arriba liderazgo, arriba leaders. De programa aquí que está semanal, por lo pronto, me voy a entrevistar a algún de líderes más destacados localmente, arubiano, pero también líderes que están líderes de fuera, líderes extranjeros que están en las islas, están que están en América y en otro lugar. No para conversar y papia de liderazgo, pero también para lagar algo atrás. Lagar mensaje costan que no hay hasi que atrás, costan que no atrás, para lagar algún tips y alguna idea y alguna estrategia que nos oyentes y nos televidentes para que kiko lideran hasi durante diferentes escenarios. Ahora me quiero introducir a lo cual a mí te considera un líder tremendo, que es Mark Littleton Francis, me llamo Mark, que trabaja en Radisson el último año aquí, en Aruba, y como te tengo el placer no de conocer profesionalmente, pero conocerle como un compañero de deporte. Es un gran deportista también, algo que lideran seguro. Mr. Hasi Hopi, y enamo conocer, andando con el de la más bonita que 3 días para varios años. Mark, good evening, man. Nice to have you here.
Thanks, Ray.
And, you know, we're here frequently to swim, but today we're here to talk about some ideas and some good things that now that you're leaving the Radisson for a new job in the United States, you can share with the people of Aruba and the managers, because I'm a manager of yesterday and today. You're a manager of today and tomorrow. So let's share some ideas for managers of today, but also managers of tomorrow.
Sure.
And you've had a tremendous amount of success and also good experience with people, over 500 people working in a hotel, one of Aruba's most beautiful hotels, the Radisson, right now, which in the future will become another hotel, but by name, but the property is beautiful. And you've had over 500 employees, 40 nationalities. Share with us, how do you get all of these people going in the right direction to produce a result for your company, but also to make the thousands of tourists and visitors happy that come in every week? Maybe you can say a little bit about yourself, talk a little bit about yourself, and then let's go into the meat of the business,
right.
Which is what do you do? So,
well, I'm originally from Africa, which is already a strange thing. To have somebody in senior leadership roles coming out of Africa doesn't happen that often. So I've had the joy and luck of working in a number of different countries and working with a number of different cultures all over the world, and learning a huge amount, which has helped me on a fairly sharp trajectory up the management ranks. A very important part of my leadership skill base has been learning from other people. And now, as I grow, I'm learning to give that back. So, you know, you say, let's get into the meat of it. The meat of the Radisson is very interesting. Getting 500 people all going the same direction on the same day is a very difficult task. And I think worldwide, and not unique or specific to Aruba, is empathy to a large extent, and understanding that all folks really want is to be happy in their job. No threat, nothing being held over their head to get their job done, no hard stick to beat them with. And once you remove all of that and create some happiness, that's then prolonged through to the customer. And ultimately, this is a tourist island.
So you're talking about the first aspect is having harmony in the organization.
Absolutely. And that doesn't come easily. You know, there's a cost to that harmony. Sometimes you need to cut the branches from the tree to allow the tree to grow. And as our old boss used to say, you have to mow the lawn to let the grass grow. And when I come in to a new property or a new hotel, that's normally what I do. Where there's ill harmony or there are problem individuals, we move these folks along, and this generally helps to get the team all heading in the same direction. Once that's done, we just create an environment of happiness and satisfaction. Simple things like providing a proper meal in the cafeteria, providing a lady who works in housekeeping with a uniform that's comfortable and fits her, can sometimes be a lot more rewarding than increases on the pay packet. So it's to look at these small things that makes an individual happy on a daily basis and want to come to work. These things are important to me as a leader.
If I may ask you, Mark, tell us about the Aruban. Obviously, we're all very happy when people come from abroad and share their knowledge with us. And that's my idea today. You're leaving the island with a lot of knowledge that you have from the past, but also from managing people here in Aruba. So maybe you can share some ideas with us of some things. How can local Aruban managers grow into the position of management? There are not many. There are a lot of good managers on the island, but there are very few real Arubans or Aruban citizens who are on top management. So how can we grow more? I think that's what everybody wants. The companies want it, the island wants it, we all want it, and even you want it. You want to leave behind and say, I'm leaving somebody that I trained. So what are some of the things some of the advice you can give to Aruban people, the Aruban workers and managers, to progress?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because being such a small community, it's you would expect that folks that would have progressed, particularly over the years that tourism's been really strong on the island, you would have expected that folks would have progressed up to senior management roles. And I think that certainly we've had a few success stories at the Radisson. Some young dynamic managers who have taken a new attitude to the way they want to deliver their work performance have moved up the ranks. And certainly my executive team, we only have one expatriate. The rest of the executive team is local and Aruban.
Fantastic.
Now those.
How many people do you have in your executive team?
There are eight people in the executive team.
Very good.
And it's a good mix of women and men, young and old, and it's a very, very interesting team. Some have made their way there through years of hard work, and others are young and dynamic.
So what is your message to the Aruban?
My message is be focused on what it is you wish to achieve, and don't allow those around you to hold you back. I think being in a small island and small neighborhoods where very often the person you have to discipline at work is your next door neighbor. It can be hard for an Aruban manager to make the changes within their department that they need to make to progress themselves, for fear of what may be thought of them publicly. And once Arubans can overcome that fear of what their neighbor may think of them, I think progression up the ranks will be swift.
Right. Leadership training, management,
absolutely. We're closed off from the world on this little island, and opening our minds up to management concepts from around the world, good education. I think particularly in the hotel industry, the tourism industry, we're seeing more and more of the big companies sending Aruban middle management abroad to go and learn some new skills and bring those skills back. It's very worrisome to me that many young Arubans are leaving for Europe and not coming back, or leaving for Canada or the States and not coming back and bringing their skills with them. So I think more money invested in developing middle and senior Aruban management by the large companies on island will go a long, long way.
And then, different cultures. I've always said that in order to work with Jamaicans, Peruvians, Colombians, Venezuelans, Dutch, you need to understand the culture of these peoples. And you've had over 40 cultures working with you? You yourself being a South African.
Yep.
So how do we deal with the different cultures and
I don't necessarily
cultural sensitivity?
It's interesting because ultimately every culture I've come across, every human being I've worked with has the same wants and needs. We all want to have a roof over our heads. We all want to take care of our families. We all want to be able to feed ourselves. These needs are universal, no matter the culture. There are nuances and sensitivities with each culture, and having had the opportunity to work in so many different countries, I've learned to adapt to those nuances. But I still get it wrong. And certainly here in Aruba, I've got it wrong on numerous occasions. Aruban folks have cultural sensitivities, and on many occasions I've gone in hard on a project when I should have held back and handled it differently. But you learn these things from making the mistakes. Whereas in other cultures, for example in the United Kingdom, you have to go in hard from day one because that's how they understand getting things done.
Right.
But you learn about these nuances by making those mistakes. And then take that knowledge with me.
Right, right. Very, very interesting, and of course I subscribe to that. Now, you know, I know you as an athlete, as a tremendous athlete, and I hate the fact that you beat me swimming, but, you know, I'm 30 years older, so okay. But I know you as an athlete, and you're fantastic, and so talk to us a little bit about the need for executives and the need for managers to be in good shape, to eat well, and so on, because you're an example of that. I know that you come to the swimming frequently with your little vegetable and fruit juice mix, and you eat the right stuff and you do the right thing. So share a little bit about not being an athlete per se, but the need for our managers, our executives to be aware and to practice training, physical fitness, and good nutrition.
Firstly, let me say, Ray, that you, for your age, are in incredible shape, and I love swimming with you out there in the mornings.
Thank you.
I see you out there with the sharks sometimes, and wonder if you're going to make it back. So,
I'm going to miss you, man. I'm going to miss you when you move to...
I have a number of opinions on this, and I'm very passionate about this subject because I think you know very well I'm passionate about this subject, Ray, and I've learned as my career has gone on a trajectory path to the top that this is linked daily to my health. And we speak often of millennials, but I like to speak rather of being millennial minded. It doesn't matter your age, you may absorb the world like a millennial, and nutrition for me is absolutely vital. An important part of my day, taking proper breaks as well. I don't work 16-hour days. In fact, I probably work less than your average manager. But when I am there, I'm productive. It's because I eat properly, I eat my vegetables, my fruits, I stay away from overproduced processed foods.
So like too much of the white stuff, like
too much of the white stuff is
pastas, rice, white potato, all that stuff.
I don't want to be I don't want to be prescriptive to anybody. We all have our own diets,
right.
But as I've learned to eat more healthy foods, the better I felt. In fact, I feel better now than when I was 25.
You think better, don't you, when you're eating?
Think better. I'm sharp. I'm awake. I'm awake at 4 a.m. every morning.
Design lives here.
Televidente, we're back with Mark, a distinguished hotel manager in Aruba, according to many of his peers, other hotel managers I've spoken to, but also his employees. And your employees have said beautiful things about you, which makes me think there must be something wrong also, no? You can't be perfect, no?
No, absolutely.
Yeah? So they've said all kinds of things. You're a nice guy, you're positive, you're fair, you're flexible, you're professional. And one of your very close associates at the hotel said, Mark is a very persistent, driven manager who knows how to get to his objectives. And what I like is, and when the ship strands and there's a problem, he knows how to get the ship loose and get it back on track. So very nice things about you. Tell us a couple of things where you may have failed Not because we want to know your failings, but because we want to share with other managers how do you deal with failure? How do you deal with problems? How do you correct? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, Mark.
I think the first and most important thing is as a good leader, you're failing all the time. And I fail every day. I make mistakes all the time, whether they're small, whether they're large decision-making mistakes, whether they're failures where I took a risk and backed myself, and I was the only one backing myself. Didn't have the team behind me. You know, you learn to pick yourself up and not give yourself such a hard time over it. You learn to understand that the small trip-ups and speed humps along the way don't move you off of your journey to the final goal. So I think one of the most important things for management, as a management learning curve, is set the vision together. Understand
put your
the goal.
goals together. Where are we going to go? Discuss it all together and make sure
Exactly.
everybody is on board.
Don't start moving the ship until you know what the plan is. And I think that's the most important thing. Often leaders jump in when the ship is stranded and they try and get it off the rocks without having the crew on board as to how you're going to get it off the rocks. So I always work on the basis of let's have a plan in place. Let's make sure we know where we're going and what the final destination is. And once we understand that, getting the ship moving again is real easy.
Interesting.
You know, I think certainly in Aruba, one of my learnings has been, and a learning for middle management in particular, is going to be take the decision. Just make it. Don't wait for somebody else. So it's somebody else's problem. As young managers in the hotel industry, I would have liked to have seen my middle management take harder, faster decisions sometimes. And I know that that's difficult, and it's cultural to some extent. How can I take a decision over my fellow colleagues and my next door neighbors that could affect them? Let me wait for the senior manager to make the decision. I won't take it. And I think it's important that growth up the management ladder is about decision making, wrong or right. The more decisions you make, the more you get wrong.
Yeah. Great. Now, another thing that I've noticed on, from the papers and the press, and I've admired in you, is actually that you were honest enough to tell the government and your peers at the Hotel Association what you thought were things that had to be done. And a lot of managers and positions, particularly when they're expatriate, they're afraid to talk. And in your case, I admire that you were willing to talk, and in a positive way. And you have told and said and stated a couple of things that are important. So maybe I could phrase it this way. What are some messages you can leave behind that you think are the most important things that you can give advice to the government, our leaders in government, that has to be done for us to maintain sustainable tourism growth? I think that's the best way to put it. What are some, let's say, take two items that you think are very, very important for us to be aware of and our government leaders to be aware of?
Well, I think they are aware. I don't believe that our leaders...
It's a question of them doing it.
Yes, absolutely. I think our leaders are very aware of what needs to be done, and it's a question of now getting things done. And I believe that our industry, our tourism industry is extremely powerful, and we need to lobby the government on a regular basis to get these things done. The will is there, and there's an understanding that the will is there. So my issues are not with the government. My issues is with the speed that things are happening. The fact that they are happening is great. I think passionately, we have one great asset in Aruba. It's our beaches and our ocean. It is the only asset. And I joke about this sometimes with my colleagues, but I say, once the beaches are gone, the tourists are not coming for the donkey farm.
Right.
And
even though the donkey farm
even though we love the donkey farm,
they're
right?
not coming for that.
They're not coming for that. They're coming for these beautiful beaches,
right,
and the beautiful sandy shores that we have,
right,
and we need to protect this environment,
right,
both ecologically, environmentally,
right,
and from a human
social
element, a social point of view. As numbers grow around our beaches, so social ills creep in alongside those. It's natural in every human environment.
Right.
The more humans you put in one place, the more naughtiness comes out of it.
Very well said. Very well
So,
said.
that for me is a number one focus, and I see now, so pleased as I leave the island to see that moves are afoot to protect these beautiful beaches. And I'm glad to see that there's an uprising happening within Aruba and amongst Arubans to protect this vital asset for tourism.
Right.
I think that for sustainable growth is going to be important.
So protecting our beaches, managing them
Yes.
better because of what has happened as a result of many years of tourism.
Yes.
Yeah, I grew up, I was born here and I grew up here, and honestly speaking, and I hope nobody gets offended, but I'm sometimes afraid to walk with my little kids or grandkids on some of the beaches because of what's going on there. And I think, yes, it has to be, it's a very good point.
Yep.
I myself have talked about it, and it's not as easy to correct as we talk about it, but it has to be corrected.
And it's education,
Yeah.
and it's education. It's education, not education primarily for the tourist,
Yeah.
and secondarily for us living here as residents. Whether you're a part-time resident like me or you're a full-time resident, you know there's an education around this, and that education is vital, because we don't understand what it is we're trying to protect. How can we protect it? So that I'm passionate about. Secondarily, something that I'm extremely passionate about is getting the young folks into our industry. I look around and I don't see the young people in our industry. Where are they? They're leaving the island. They're going overseas.
Can I answer that a little bit also?
You're welcome. Please jump on board.
It is my perception, Mark, and I think this is a general tourism issue, that the perception of the younger people, and I have, as you know, kids of all ages, is that the tourist industry, the hotel industry, requires 7 days a week work, 50, 60 hours a week. And it's a perception, because I know it's like you said yourself, which was a very good point. I don't work, 10 hours a day. I pace myself and I work as it requires, and I work with quality. I think we have to educate, and you guys have to as hoteliers, educate the people in schools that you don't have to work 7 days a week. And you shouldn't put people to work 7 days a week. And you shouldn't require them to be there 10, 12 hours a day, unless there's special events going on in your hotel, special groups, and then they get paid for it.
Absolutely.
But I think the perception that the hotel industry requires so much effort and so much time, of their personal time, I don't think it's good. My personal, and I'm sorry if some people take offense to this, but my personal idea is that people should work 5 days a week hard and good. Be it 8 hours a day, be it 10 hours a day, 5 days. One day they need to rest, and one day to take care of their domestic chores. So if you put people to work 6 and 7 days a week, you're asking for trouble, aren't you?
I think those days are gone, Ray. I'm very comfortable to say those days are gone.
But the perception is there.
It's very sad that perception remains, and it's been created over all these years. We don't work like that anymore. I did. When I started, I washed dishes. Right. 12, 13, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, 1 day off. And that's how things were, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. They're no longer like that,
right.
And the flexibility now, particularly for the younger generations coming into the hotel industry, I'm seeing internationally a trend towards working in the hotel industry because of the flexibility. A young person that's maybe studying part-time, they maybe have some social life that they want to attend to, are able to work flexible shifts around their life. This suits the millennial culture so well.
Right.
So we need them, and a sustainable tourism in Aruba and quality tourism is going to need the young people. We need them in our industry.
Mark, thank you very much, man, for sharing
Pleasure.
these
Thank
ideas with us, and I wish you a lot of luck, you and your family.
Thank you, Ray.
Your beautiful family, a lot of luck and good fortune and good health
I think
at your future job.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much, man.